He just speak what's on his mind. You know
Actually,
what I mean? Yeah,
dancehall.
that's what I hear this stuff from.
Now, dancehall is not a musical genre.
The culture.
Dancehall is a space.
Yeah.
Right. I know, like New Jack
It's a
Swing is
space.
like like
It's
New
a
Jack Swing is
space,
R&B,
right?
but it's an era.
When
Like
yeah, it's a space where when we were kids back in the '60s, right? We would go to the dance, not the dance hall. We would go to the dance, and the dance was kept in open air spaces, right? Just fenced up, and it was open air, and they had huge sound systems playing out there, and a lot of you guys called versus. They were clashing out there. We call it clash. We were clashing out there, and it was just in a space. And when they took that indoors in a hall setting, they called it the dance hall. So they took it indoors. You see, now the music now that people are calling dance hall music, back in the day, that was really not dance hall music, because dance hall in the dance hall, in the dance space back in the '60s, everything was being done. Every song. We were heavy on R&B in America, right? You had some singers outside of New Orleans. There was a guy and a girl, Shirley and Lee. They did songs like "Let the Good Time Roll," right? Which was huge in Jamaica, right? They had another song called "Feel So Good," right? Now those songs were their signature songs in the dances,
Yeah.
right? Because in those spaces you had to play everything, and it was a showcase of who had the best ska music, who had the best rock steady music, and then reggae was just coming in, because reggae didn't come in until the '60s. You see, reggae was just coming in. So we were playing Fats Domino in the dance, so-called dance hall back in those days. We were playing Shirley and Lee.
Yeah.
You know, we were playing every genre of music in that space.
Yeah.
And Jamaicans have a wide appreciation for music.
Yes.
I mean, country and western is huge
Everything.
in Jamaica.
As a Jamaican DJ, you have to be
It's
versatile.
huge.
You have to try to learn
Like he
every
can tell you,
genre along the line.
of music,
Yes.
right? Because
Every
you see,
genre.
when I came to America, I saw the segregation of music on radio, where you had an R&B station, now you got a hip hop station, then you got a country station, then you got in Jamaica. It came out of the British system, where it was like one
Station.
dial, one station.
oh, you get one
two
station, and
stations.
whatever comes on
yeah,
comes on.
we just play anything here on the
And
station.
you see,
Yeah.
and we played the public format.
Yes.
Just like how you go to KPFT now or TSU, that format where you play, a show for this, a show for that, a show for this.
yeah.
That's how Jamaican radio was constructed, because that's how it's constructed in London, in the BBC. It was one station, just a block here, a block there, this comes on, that comes on, reggae come on, this come on. So we had to embrace everything, and then put the talk show format in on top of that and everything. So all that was going on in Jamaica back in the day. Then, Toots and the Maytals came out
They changed
and did
again.
a song called "Do the Reggae."
They
It was
changed
supposed to be a dance. You see, it was supposed to be a dance. So they did a song called Do the Reggae Dance, right? Then the song was a hit song back in the '60s. Everybody jumped in it. The music had that sound and that groove, and everybody's like, it's popular. So the musical form just took off like that, and then everybody just started calling it reggae. And That's
And it
where
had that
reggae was
vibe, like you
born.
said, that
That's-
rhythm
that's
to
where
it, and
reggae
that's
If
was
you
what.
can
born.
remember, Daddy Paul, which producer,
Right.
which producer was the one that started that sound? If you can
Right.
remember.
Well, I don't know exactly started
But there was a
that
lot of them.
sound.
Because they're saying that reggae was originated in West Kingston.
Right. No. Toots and the Maytals started reggae. Okay? Because before that, you had rocksteady.
Bebop.
They had another form. You had ska music, which was a real fast beat, and which is still going on in London today. Because them skinhead guys are doing ska. The Police, that Sting came out of, that group, they did ska music. That's why the Police and Shaggy could blend today, because they did that Jamaican form of music in London, you see. So it took off, the reggae took off like that, and everybody started doing it. Then it was all singers, you see.
Yeah.
So the rap part of it didn't come in as yet.
It's all
See.
singers.
Did not come in as yet. So
When did it start changing with the, like, because like I said, to me, if you say dancehall music, I'm gonna think Shabba Ranks off top. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of vibe with the
Oh,
the
yeah.
beat going and that type of. When does it come to that? Is that the 90s or that
Oh,
came
no.
before that?
80s.
no, that was way back in the 70s.
Or late 70s.
Way back in the 70s. Okay? It was way back in the 70s. Where you had, before Shabba Ranks and all that, you had guys who were way out
I'm sure it was
there
people
doing
that did it, but
Yeah.
he came out to be
You
one of
see,
the stars.
Shabba
for real.
was the one who kind of,
To America,
put it
right?
out there in America. But before, you had Yellow Man out there too,
Yellow Man, there's
doing
a
a
lot of them.
lot of stuff, right? Before Shabba, Yellow Man was hitting before Shabba, you see, and before all those guys, you had U-Roy, you had I-Roy, you had King Stitch, you had Tapazuki, you had all them guys in Jamaica who were doing that toasting form of music that we call DJ music. So, way before that, we were doing that. So, Shabba, U-Roy popularized it in Jamaica. I-Roy was popular too. Big Youth was popular too. All the guys were out there before these guys. And they were doing this, and they were very successful. They were touring, and they were going all over the world doing this kind of stuff. Shabba just blew it into, and Yellow Man blew it into America. And then everybody else followed behind that, you see. But there were guys out there way before them doing this, you see. So, and you come to guys like Herc, Cool, right? That music that he popularized, that he took to New York as a Jamaican, right? It was those guys that was before Shabba Ranks and all that. It was those guys that he took. With the guys, it started with the singers, and then you had a MC, a DJ, and then you had what is called a selector. He's the selector. He just played the music,
yeah.
like what he does
Yeah.
right now, and all their job was just to select the records and put them out,
Yes.
right? Then you had the MC or the DJ who would come in now, and what he did was he just turned every record in Jamaica back in the day had an instrumental version on the back
of it.
on the
So
back of it.
on the front is the song,
Okay.
and you flip it over, it's
So-
the version.
Right.
Yeah.
Every record had an instrumental version. That's how it was made. You had a vocal this side, the B side was
Yeah.
instrumental. So while the party was going on, the DJ would play the vocal version, and then the MC would grab the mic, he flip it over, and he started
talk
talking
over the version, the instrumental.
He
yeah.
started talking on
Yes.
on the instrumental. A lot of times they really didn't have lyrics. They didn't
Yeah,
really
they just
write nothing.
freestyle.
You see, they really didn't write anything. They just did what came to mind, and they looked at the vibe and they see what was going on out there, and a lot of it was just not real words.
And this is like in the 70s you're talking about.
This is in the 70s.
Yes.
This is way in the 70s.
I'm listening to you because this is actually, like you say, Cool Herc. This is what he
Way
comes to New York with, and this is the exact same way it was translated here with the MC going over the music.
Yeah, he took that to New York. You see, so when he was hooking up with Africa Bambaataa and all them guys in the streets up there, right? That's what he came with. He came with that loud, heavy sound system in New York. That's what he did. You see, because there were stories where when he hooked up his stuff on one end of the street and the Bambaataa them came on the other side, he blew them away because he brought that heavy bass and the heavy sound that was coming from Jamaica into New York. And that's what he did. And then he did the same thing. He brought that instrumental stuff and the talking on top of it. And that's where a lot of these young cats in America who could not understand the Jamaican dialect, they took it and put their dialect onto it and put their style onto it. And that's it. Here comes rap music. Here it comes.
That's a great place to start. We've been recording all this. This really ain't part of the show, but I'm gonna add this in some type of way. This is a 50th year hip hop, so y'all just got a cool Herc lesson, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's where it came from. It came straight out of
Busta
Jamaica.
Rhymes adhere to that. Busta Rhymes said it on an interview that's where hip hop originates from. Cool Herc.
Busta will tell you.
Yeah, I mean everybody knows Cool Herc. Yeah.
You know, Busta will tell you that right up front because he's a product of that too.
Yeah, that environment. Yeah.
You know, them guys were New York Jamaicans, and you know, like Heavy and all them guys. You know, them guys are Jamaicans, New York Jamaicans, and they know where that all came from, because Busta can do what Shabba does in the same dialect, and Heavy could do it too. As a matter of fact, Heavy's got songs out there with Super Cat, DJing Jamaican style. You know, so Busta got songs where he'll just flip to his Jamaican dialect too, and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of rappers have Jamaican heritage too.
A lot of them.
Lots of rappers, you know, got Jamaican fathers in the back there, or Jamaican mothers somewhere back there, or Jamaican grandparents
Biggie
back there.
Small.
A lot of them. So, you know, that's where a lot of that is.
Yeah. We go ahead and kick it off. Hey, man, listen, it's going down. This is Donnie Houston Podcast. I am Donnie Houston. Hey, man, we got some special guests in here, man. Y'all hearing all this Jamaica talk, you know what I'm saying? It's only right, man. You know, the club Jamaica Jamaica, when we talk about H-Town history, and we talk about staples in this city, and we talk about just legendary moments in time, Jamaica Jamaica is responsible for so many of these moments, man. And, hey, man, there's one person responsible for that club, man. Paul, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm good to be here, man. How you doing, man? I've heard a lot about you, man. Never really got to meet you, and I've been hearing about you, and I'm like, I gotta meet that guy one day. I mean, so,
yeah, well, we here. You know, DJ, what's the DJ?
DJ Flabba
up and coming DJ.
DJ Flabba
Houston.
International.
And this is at the new Jamaica Jamaica, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, let's start right there. Tell me about this new Jamaica Jamaica. You coming in, you know, you're the DJ now at this place now that this is the rebirth of it. Tell me how is it being in your
Well,
position?
he just got here a couple of years ago. The new Jamaica Jamaica started in 2017.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was the reason for bringing it back?
Well, the itch. The itch. Well, you know, because we went out in 2002, and then,
right when I was turning 18, so I never got to go in there.
We went out in 2002 for several reasons. I mean, I'll get into that later. But then I went back into corporate America, started working, you know, and doing some. I did some social work because I'm a caregiver. You see, I'm a giving person. I'm a caregiver.
Wait, so you didn't go back to the computer programming or none of this?
No,
we'll get to that.
I went to a whole different stuff. I went to social work, and I started doing case management for for people with intellectual disabilities and delays and all that kind of stuff. Um, back there, they were calling it mental retardation and all that kind of stuff. And Obama came and flipped it to intellectual disabilities. So I went and did that for a while. And put on my suit and go out and inspect houses and take care of, make sure, a lot of people were free and safe from abuse, neglect, and exploitation and stuff like that. And but I worked in conjunction with Department of Aging and Disabilities, but I worked for a private provider who was contracted by the state of Texas to do this kind of work. And I would go out there and make sure these people were fine. And I got to learn a lot, and I loved it. You see, the part that I really, one of the main reasons why I kind of got out is that, you just say like psychiatrists and psychologists tend to take on the nature of the people that they give care to. It started getting to me because I was caring a lot about these people, and when I saw things happening that, people were not doing things right and all that, I'm like, man, I tried to change things and I couldn't change certain things, and there was a lot of people trying to hustle a system, and I was like, man, I got to get out of this because I didn't. But at that time, you had club rhythms going on in Houston, and then I looked at that and I saw that they were going out, and I said, you know what, maybe I should bring back Jamaica Jamaica, but I would not bring it back as a club. I brought it back as a lounge. So I got with my nephew in Atlanta, and we got together. We put this thing together over on the other side of Westheimer. And
so yeah, Westheimer and where?
Hayes. So we put this together, and it started off pretty good, and we kept doing it. We started off Friday and Saturday nights. Started doing it. But we made some mistakes. But we did that because
had the game changed?
The game had changed,
yeah.
And we try to pick up a little bit where we left off. And
this is y'all were in the game before social media, before all this extra stuff going on. Yeah,
and we try to pick up where we left off. That was one of the mistakes, and we tried to bring back people from the old into the new, and that was another mistake that we made. You see, we should have started off afresh. You see, so people came in and tried to change the trajectory of what we were trying to do. You see, and that kind of caused a lot of rift and a lot of in the dysphoria in the neighborhood, in the community. It started a lot of conflict. You see, because people were going out there wanting to do this, and I was like, no, this is not what it's about. So we started having.
Were they trying to bring back the same vibe from the original Jamaica Jamaica?
You want to do more? They tried to bring this vibe, a new vibe to that. I tried to. Jamaica Jamaica was never really a so-called reggae club. Okay, Jamaica Jamaica was named because to really showcase the Jamaican culture. And the Jamaican culture is not about just reggae music. You see what I'm saying? It is a Jamaica is a multi-cultured island. We do everything that you can think about out there. You see, it's not just reggae that we do, right? So some people were just trying to make it like just a reggae, and only reggae people can come here, and only this kind of people need to come, and that kind of people, and we don't want this kind of people in, and we don't want that kind of people, and that's kind of problem that we ran up into. People were trying to change, right? Because the original Jamaica Jamaica, if you heard about it, we were 90% African American going to that club. And the Jamaican community was, you had certain people who came there, but it was not a strictly Jamaican club. It was just called Jamaica Jamaica to showcase the Jamaican culture, because we used to do things like we used to run trips out of there to Jamaica in conjunction with 97 Nile Box. We took 150 people to Jamaica and put them in luxury hotels and stuff and had parties and stuff. We're trying to showcase the Jamaican culture because it came out of some friends that I have in Jamaica who are in the tourist business. And they kept saying, use the club to bring people to Jamaica to help build up tourism in Jamaica. So I was doing a lot of that behind the scenes. We run 2 or 3 trips every year, and it was 118 people, 98 people, 150 people, and they were just going to Jamaica, experiencing the culture of Jamaica, not just the music. You see, so the club is not just about the music. It was about showcasing Jamaica itself. That's how the name came about. Because we could have named it Club Reggae if we just wanted it to be a reggae club, We wanted it to be about Jamaica itself and not just the music of Jamaica. Not because it's a nightclub that means it's just about the music. That's what we didn't really want that. And that's how we framed it back in the 80s and 90s.
So, okay, because you gave me the book version of prior to getting to Jamaica, but I want to do the movie version because it was your journey to that spot. You know what I'm saying? From coming from Atlanta and seeing what was going on there and just trying to find work out of college. You know what I mean? Right. And then coming to Houston and finding an opportunity for regular work, and then you go and getting into this club business with talk about with the Caribana thing, like how that whole thing.
Right. Well, when I got out of college in Atlanta back in '80, I couldn't find a job in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta doing computers. I learned computers at D&G, the beer company that makes Red Stripe beer in Jamaica. I learned to operate IBM mainframes and stuff like that out there. Then I got into programming computers. I did 3 languages, Fortran, COBOL, RPG. I could do that back in the day. I was just 21, 22 at that time. So when I went to college, I did business because the college I went to did not have a computer science curriculum or anything like that. So I did business. So that was cool. But to survive in Atlanta, I had to find computer work in between going to school. So I got a little job once with the Federal Home Loan Bank in Atlanta. I worked that for a little while, and then I clashed with the data processing. At that time, it was not like information system, it was data processing back then. I clashed with the lady who was the data processing director, and I was like, I went to Jamaica on vacation. I just never went back because I didn't want to be fighting with this lady. So I went into, I worked a little bit as a juvenile, at a juvenile hall, right? Like working with the juvenile director. Then I got out of college, couldn't find no work. So I ended up starting to buy newspapers in Atlanta. So I had already ruled out New York because I'm scared of the cold, so I wouldn't go up there. So I bought a Houston Chronicle, and I saw jobs everywhere. So I said, you know what? At the time I was married, so we said, let's go to Houston. So we packed up everything we had. I was playing music too. I had tons of records, turntables and everything. Hooked all it up to a U-Haul truck, and I drove to Houston. I don't know how the hell I got off at Harwin, but I got off at Harwin, 59. I was driving down Harwin, and they were, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. I'm like, damn, there's
a land opportunity.
Yeah. So I said,
do you see it like that too?
I saw this job. Yeah, I saw this road sign that says computer operators wanted. So I just pulled my car into the parking lot with a U-Haul truck behind it, and I got off, and I went to the reception desk, and I said, I'm here to apply for the computer operator's job. She said, hold on, sir. She brought out this guy. The guy came and said, you're here to apply? I said, yeah. He said, come on in. So I went in his office. We sat down. He told me, tell me your experience. I told him my experience. My experience was really with a lot of business applications, you know, working with IBM systems and stuff. It was all business, right? And after I told him what I could do, he said, well, I'm sorry, but that's not what we do here. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do? So he said, let me take you on a tour of our computer room. Man, he opened this door and it was a huge, maybe 25,000 square foot of computers. There were mainframes and CPUs everywhere. They had tape decks. Those old reel-to-reel tapes that you would see in sci-fi movies. That was everywhere. They had over 200 tape drives and tons and thousands of those tapes. And I was like, oh. So what do y'all do? He said, we do geophysical data processing. I'm like, what the hell is that? I've never heard about that. He said, well, let me tell you what we do. We have ships out there in the Gulf of Mexico. And on those ships, we have a lot of computers. And we drop lines, cables down to the bottom of the sea, and we're surveying the bottom of the sea, and we're looking for oil. And we collect that data, and it transmits back to the ship, and then that comes to us here, and we process that, put it in paper, send it back out there, and they decide where they're going to start drilling. I'm like, I never heard about nothing like this in my life. So I'm like, wow. Well, he said, so, well, I can't hire you because you don't know how to do any of this. I said, listen, man, I need a job. I can do it. He said, no. I said, listen, I need a job. That's why I'm here. I need a job. So he said, well, let me tell you what I can do for you. I'll make you my tape librarian. I'm like, hold on, man, that's a step back, you know. But I need a job. He said, tape librarian? I said, I'll take it. So I took it. Tape librarian was just simply getting all the tapes and putting them in place and retrieving tapes for the computer operator to give it to them. And I mean, it was really nothing, right? So I was like, man, I'll do it. I need a job. I don't care. I'll do it. But as God, I guess, ordained it, when I went to work, I was an evening shift. And when I went to work, they had these white guys that were doing the job, man. There was a white guy there, a long beard, and he like long hair, like dreadlocks type stuff, you know. So when I went in and he asked me, where you from? And I told him Jamaica, man. He shook my hand and like, oh yeah, man, I love Jamaica, man. I've been there a couple of times, man. Then I said, okay, that's cool. Then next thing he transitioned to, do you smoke weed? And I'm like, nah, man, I don't smoke. I don't know who this guy is. I can't own up to nothing like this, man. Maybe trying to get me fired real quick. I said, nah, I don't smoke. I don't know nothing about weed. So he said, oh, man, we smoke weed, man. You know. So I went to Jamaica before, man. Y'all got some good weed? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool, but I'm here to do this little job. So I started working, and while I was doing that, I noticed something in the middle of the night when a program was being processed, you know, and the computer was just running. There's actually nothing to do other than you let the machine work. And these guys disappeared. And I was like, where them guys at? There was a back door at the back. So I went one night and I pushed the back door. They were back there smoking weed. So I'm like, so that's what it is. Okay, that's cool. So the computer started calling for an instruction. So I called him and said, hey man, you need to come give this an instruction right now. It's asking for something, right? It's not a tape. You need to come input something. So he came in and he said, let me show you what to do in this day. So he showed me what to do. Then he started saying, you know what, man, I'm going to show you how I do this. So I sat there with him every night, and he showed me exactly what to do. Within a week or so, I knew everything about what they were doing because I just transferred my knowledge from business onto what they did, and it was like that, and I was done. So once they found out that I could do it, it was Weed Fest in the back and Paul doing the work. You see, so I mean, I learned it like this, and it was no big thing. I was cool with that. There's no problem. But what happened is that all of a sudden, this same guy got up and resigned. He got another job somewhere else. So while he was getting ready to get out of there, he went to the manager and said, let Jamaica do the work. He called me Jamaica. He said, let Jamaica do the work. So I said, the guy said, no, he don't know it. He said, let Jamaica do the work. He can do the work. So the guy said, no, he hasn't been trained. He said, let Jamaica do the work. He convinced him. So he said, okay, what I'll do is, if you think he can do the work, I'm going to test him. They brought me in on the day shift now to see if I could do the work. I came in on the day shift, blew him away. So they hired me right there now as an operator. You see, put me back on the night shift. I didn't really like the night shift, right? Because at the same time, I was DJing little things here and there, and I wanted to do my little hustle DJ at night and do this computer thing during the day. So I kept applying, looking for application, doing applications, sending out, reading the paper. Then a job came up at Oshman Sporting Goods, you see, and I applied for it. Bam, they hired me. Now this was day shift, and it was the same exact computer that they had in Jamaica that I worked on. So when I went in there as supervisor. I just blew them away like that, and that was it. I was working Oshman Sporting Goods. Then I was trying to do the reggae music thing. I was listening to radio, searching see if there was reggae on the radio anywhere. Then I heard this guy on the radio on KPFT. He was doing a reggae show on Sundays. So I was listening to him, and I was comparing what he did with what I did. This guy never had any new records or anything. He was playing some way old 60s music, and this was in the 80s. So I called him up on the radio and I said, hey man, where you get them old records, man? You need to update. So he said, I can't get these records, man. So he said, you got records? I said, yeah. He said, bring them down here, man. Bring them down here. So I said, when is your next show? He said, next Sunday. Next Sunday, I packed up a box of records and I went down there to KPFT. I said, okay, man, listen, you talk, I'll play. So he started talking, I started playing, the phone started lighting up, everybody wanted to know where these records came from and all that kind of stuff. So I did that for like 2 Sundays. Then the program director came out and he said, who's playing the record? I said, me. He said, man, a lot of people are calling up about what's going on. He said, have you ever done radio? I said, I've never really done a radio, but I talk on the mic. So he said, we got a show coming up on Saturday. Would you be interested in doing another reggae show? I said, hell yes. There it is. I got my own show, 6 to 8 on Saturday evenings. My show started becoming real popular now because I had all the new records, everything I was doing, everything that was going on in Jamaica, I was doing that stuff. It was great. Then, at the same time, my wife was a singer. I started producing records with her. So I kept going to Jamaica, produce records, doing all this, doing all that, going to work during the day, doing this. Then I got a call one day while I was on the show. This white guy called me and said, hey man, I like what you're doing. I got a club over here in West U and it's dead. Nobody's coming. I'd like to play that music in here. So I said, where? He gave me the address. So I said, okay, when I get off the air, I'll come by and take a look. I went by, took a look. It was this little 3,000 square foot, like a beer garden type stuff, Everything was old, smelled like beer, everything. I said, you want to put reggae in here? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I'm a reggae DJ. I'll put the music in, but you're going to have to update the space a little bit, fix it up a little. He said, I'm going to get a guy to put some money up, and we're going to do this. I said, what are you going to call it? He said, I went to Canada, and I saw they had a festival called Caribana. I'm going to call it Caribana. I said, that's cool. Let's do it. Next thing I know, he brought in the guys. They did some renovations. They hung a name up. The Caribana was born, 1982. I'm the DJ. I'm the music director. I'm doing everything.
But you're not just a DJ. This is your sound in there. This is
my sound system was in there. Everything. I brought everything in there and started playing. It did real good for about 3-4 months. On Saturday nights were packed. Friday night was like this. All whites. Because that's where you promote it. So I was like,
what you playing in there?
We were just playing reggae, straight up reggae, and some R&B, and yeah, just everything that I had. Yeah, I'm playing Jamaican style. I'm playing R&B. I'm playing hip hop was there, and I'm playing reggae. I'm everything. I'm playing the Yellow Man. The Yellow Man was hot, and I'm playing all that kind of stuff. So I kept saying, listen, man, I'm listening to Magic 102 every day. Magic 102 was the hot station in Houston. I'm listening to them every day, man. And all the clubs, the R&B clubs around town are packed. So why don't we try to get some of these black people in here? He said, they're not going to come in here, man. I said, if you go to Magic 102, they'll come. He said, they're not going to come. I said, listen, let's try it. So he said, okay, but they're running out of money. No, they had to find another person to come in and put up some money. So for some reason, I don't know, he had a knack of finding money like that. So he found this other guy, fresh out of London, Jamaican guy, and the Jamaican guy came and invested, and we started Caribana. I convinced this guy now, the Jamaican guy, to start spending money on Magic 102. He did it for about 2 or 3 weeks. Nothing was going on. So I came up with the concept. At that time, the concept in Houston was 2-for-1 drinks. Okay, everybody was doing 2-for-1, 2-for-1. Happy hour was big, 2-for-1, 2-for-1. So I came up with a concept like, hey, let's do 3-for-1. So the owner of the club, he said, nah, man, we can't do that because we have to get approval. I said, from who? They said, TABC. So he said, okay. I said, call TABC and see. Right? He called TABC, came back, they said there's no law against it, so we can do it. So bam, there it is. We started promoting 3-for-1, 3-for-1. Nobody came. 3-for-1, 3-for-1. Nobody came. Jamaican guy who put up the money, he started saying, hey man, we got to get rid of Paul because he don't know what he's doing. He don't know what he's saying. He got to go because he's making me spend a bunch of money. And nothing happened. And I was like, man, I can't believe we're advertising so much and nothing happened. Then, as God would have it, man, one Friday evening we're there, and I'm sitting down in the club, and I heard a lot of chatter outside. And I kept saying to the owner, I said, man, why is there so much chatter? He said, man, it's people walking by. I said, people walking by? I said, yeah, it's people walking by. I said, well, okay. I waited 15 minutes. The chatter got louder. I said, man, this is funny, man. Let me go outside. I pushed the door and look. There was a line with about 150 people lined up down the street. I said, bam, we hit it. Yeah. I went back. I said to the bartender, you guys ready? Everybody ready? Let's go. Bam. We flew those doors open, and the rest is history. That club was packed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Black people were there. White people like vanished. Because it was taken over by blacks, man, and the club was packed. Money started coming. So now the Jamaican dude and white dude started arguing over the money. Because they started making money now. It was supposed to be a 49-51 deal. Drinking guy felt he wasn't getting what was his, so started having problems. So white guy, he had a majority, so he just said, okay, you know what, you want to leave? Tell me. So he said, yes, I'm leaving. He bought him out, shipped him out, right? I was there by myself. I was like, I told him, man, don't leave because me and you can do this. He went back and told the white boy that Paul wants me and he was doing well. He almost got me fired, you know? So I was like, when the white guy called me and said, oh, so you want to team up with him and leave me? I'm like, not really. I told him that maybe me and him could go do a club, you know, but he kind of ratted me out right there, and I just left, pulled away from him. The white guy said, tell me if you're with me or you're with him. So I said, listen, he don't have no club, you got a club, I got the music, I'm going to stay where the music is. So I stuck with the music and started playing there. The club got so big that the neighborhood came out against them. So went to the landlord, told the landlord, hey, you got to get all these black people out of Westview or else we're all leaving. So the landlord didn't want all those tenants to leave, so he talked to us and told us we had to leave. We talked to an attorney. The attorney said, he got to buy you out. He can't just kick you out like that. So he bought us out. He gave us some money, and we started looking for another club, drove all over town. At that time, Fondren and West Belford was a very hot area for clubs because Earl Campbell had a club over there called Tyler Rose. It was hot, big time. There was another little club down the street in that same shopping center where Cool Runnings is right now. It was a white club and it had just closed down. So we said, let's go look at that club. We went in there.
It was in that corner?
It was right in that corner. We went in there, we looked at the club, and it was like, this looks good, let's do this. So that's where we decided, and we moved Caribana from Westview to West Belford. And that we hung our sign up, bam, it took off again. Started running, because at that time, Fondren and that area was pretty affluent. You had a lot of ball players who lived back in that area, and a lot of
it's
stuff. It's
crazy because I only know the West for being just like trapped out and right hood as fuck.
Yeah, like, it was a pretty affluent little area back in the early 80s, you see. So the club kept going. I kept playing. Then all of a sudden one day, this new white guy came in, started pushing me around. Then I'm like, hey man, who are you? I don't talk to nobody but this guy. And he kept pushing me around, so I said, you know what, let me call him. So I called this guy and said, hey man, who's this guy here trying to tell me what to do and all that kind of stuff? I thought this was me and you. He said, oh, that's my new partner. I said, you got a partner? Without letting me know, I thought I was the little silent guy here partnering up with you. He said, nah, you don't have no money. This guy coming in with money. I need some cash.
So your pay didn't increase as the club continued?
I was working for $350 a week, 7 hours a week. Okay? So...
Wait, $300 a week, $350 a week?
Yes.
7 days a week?
7 days a week. But I wasn't working.
But you loved it though.
I was doing it for love. And I was doing it for reggae music. And I felt I was building reggae music in the city because that's what I was doing. But I was getting a lot of blowback from the Jamaican community because they were like, stop doing it because you're making the white boy rich, stop doing it. But I had a bigger plan because I knew if I stopped doing it, I would cut off the bigger plan. You see, so because the deal with me and the white boy was, you teach me the club business, I will keep this format here. And that was the deal. You see, because I was trying to learn the club business. You see, smart. And I was learning the club business by just sticking around him and learning the bar business and all that kind of stuff. So when this new partner came in, we started having friction. Then I like, man, this is crazy. It started frustrating me now, and I felt like he had stabbed me in the back because it was just me and him. So anyway, he told the guy to lay off, leave him alone, don't mess with him, and so he backed off a little bit, but I was still not too happy about that. Then all of a sudden one night, I was playing Saturday night, it was packed, and I was in a DJ booth, and 3 guys approached me. Never saw them in my life before. They approached me and they said, hey, you're Paul, right? I said, yeah. He said, you're the one on the radio. I said, yeah. He said, you're the one making the white boy rich. I said, I guess that's what y'all say. I mean, you know. He said, you need to stop making the white boy rich. So I said, man, just leave me alone, let me play. So they said, we're here from New York and we come to open a club and we want you. I said, man, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Call me tomorrow. I'm playing right now. They said, no. So I said, okay. I turned my back, and the next thing I know, they pushed the door of the DJ booth open. One of them took the needle off the record, stopped the music in the middle of the night, took the record off the turntable, put the record in a jacket. They said, are these records yours? I said, yes. They picked up all my records. They took the needle off the record, and they pushed me outside of the club and left the club with no music in the middle of the night. Luckily, there was a guy that opened for me in the afternoon, and he was still hanging around the club. He played, and he was still there. So when they saw me doing this, the same little white guy who didn't like me, he said, oh, get out of here. You washed up anyway. You'll never be nothing. Get out. And they chased me out of the club, right? And they told this guy, go back and start playing. So he went back and he started playing. So the music continued right there. You know, the night was not lost. So I was fretting. I'm like, look what these guys came here. And I ain't no bad boy who'll go fight and shoot up this place, you know. I mean, you know, I was like, man, what am I gonna do? So I went home and I told my wife. So she said, well, you're done over there. You can't go back. So you just gonna have to see what they do. They say, we call you tomorrow morning at 10, Sunday morning. I went to sleep. I couldn't even sleep all night. I was just there looking up in the roof. Sunday morning, bam, my phone rang. Hey, we at High Hop on 59. Come meet us. We're going to eat breakfast. I got in my car. I went over there. They were having breakfast. They said, let's eat. We've been here for 4 days. We've been looking at some place. We want you to tell us which place you think is the best place to open a club. So
what type of guys were these guys?
These were Jamaican guys.
Were they street cats, or
they were businessmen from New York. They had another club in New York, and they came down here to look for a spot to open a club. They were business guys, you see. So I went with them. We drove around. We went all over OST. We went all over. Then we came to Richmond and Kirby. When we came to Richmond and Kirby, there was a club there called the Copa. It was an old gay club, and it has just closed down. They said, we looked at this one. It's big. It's huge, 10,000 square feet. They said, what do you think about this? I said, Richmond and Kirby, West U, that's where we were with Caribana, right across the street. I said, this is the spot. Because this spot had already blew up. I said, right here. We're going to take it right here. So they said, you sure? I said, yes. They called the landlord Monday morning, signed a deal. We took over the place. Started doing construction. They said, we have a club in New York called the Pyramid, and we're going to name this one the Pyramid South. We have one up north, one down south. So we said, okay, fine. We got the liquor license, we got everything, we started up, we got ready to start up, advertised on the radio. Thursday night, we opened up. 900 people. Huge crowd on a Thursday night. I'm like, this is it. This is it. 2 o'clock, we were getting ready to close. One of those guys from New York got on the mic and said, thank you everybody for coming. But the next time you come back here, you better dress up because we got a dress code. There's no way we're going to let you come back in here like that. It was unbelievable.
Because the club scene in Houston, it wasn't enforced like that. The club scene
is a casual scene. It was not that dress-up type of scene. And reggae music is casual music, right? So they were like, everybody was like, what? Friday night we opened, 0 people. Saturday night, 0. Everybody stopped coming. And it went on like that for about 3 months. Nobody. They got frustrated. Everybody started getting frustrated. Everybody man, this is foolishness. Houston is no good. Houston, they started blaming it on Houston. You know, they started blaming me. You don't know what you're doing. All this kind of stuff. And I'm saying, I keep telling you, you came down here with this highfalutin dress code stuff, and Houston is not going to go for that. So you're in trouble, right? So one day they came to me and they said, you know what? We gone. We getting out of here. Because, you know, ain't nothing happening in Houston. We're leaving.
Which year was this?
You see.
How
right?
long had y'all been in business when they decided to do that?
This was in 1986.
This 86, but how long had y'all had the spot open when they decided to say?
3 months.
Oh, they did 90 days.
Yeah. 3 months. And they said, we're out of here. We're done. I'm like, what do you mean you done? They said, they threw me the keys like this and said, hey, if you want to keep it open, you can keep it open. We're gone. I'm like, are you crazy? But we had the liquor license. The next morning, I went to the landlord and I said, did they tell you they were leaving? The landlord said, yeah, they told me they were leaving. So I said, so where do we stand? I'm going to close down. The landlord was a Chinese guy. He said, so you're going to close down? And you are the Houstonian, and you know what to do? Because from what I see, their ideas didn't mesh with your ideas. And that's where the problem is. They wanted to do a New York style club, and you want to do a Houston style club. So why don't you do a Houston style club? That's what he said to me. So I said, well, I ain't got no money.
Straight up.
I said, I ain't got no money. This rent here is $10,000 a month. I said, I ain't got no money. How you going to get paid? He looked at me and he said, you know what you do? Do it your style. Pay me something every month. And let's see what happens. I'm not going to close you down.
That's a deal.
That's
Oh,
what he
God,
said.
that was God. That was God. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was straight up God, right? Yeah. Straight up. So I said, okay, bam, I started. At that time, we had a band here. A lot of people were into live reggae music, and we had a band here that I was working with, making records with them and all that kind of stuff. So I pulled them and I said, hey, I'm over here now, I'm in control, y'all need to come and work for me. So they said, all right. So we started up a good Saturday night over there, and it was starting to pack up again, and we started the casual stuff, come as you are, we don't care about, just come, right? And it started going around. Caribana was still over there, right, doing their thing, and we were here, we were struggling. Because there was really no money. We made a little money. We give a Chinese man a little 4,000 here, a little 5,000 here. He wasn't worried. He said as long as he got something, right? Then Caribana started going out over in West Belford. White guy he wanted to sell out. There was another Jamaican guy who said he wanted to buy. So he started wanting to buy, wanted to, take over the Caribana. So, okay. That went down. The white guy eventually cut a deal with him. He took over the club. Now there was another Jamaican in the business now. It was me down here at Kirby, him over there. Now, there was really no competition. You see, I had the band. You see, he wanted the band. You see, so he offered the band more money than I was paying them. And, he was more in tune with the Jamaican community than I was. You see, so I said, they came to me and they said, you better pay us more money or else we going over there. So I said, man, I'm not going to pay you no more money because I can't afford to pay you any more money. They said, he said he's going to pay us more money. I said, I cannot afford to pay you any more money. So what you gonna do? I went to Jamaica, all right? Trying to find myself, figure out what should I do. I went home, talked to my mother, and prayed and all that kind of stuff. I asked my mother, what should I do? My mother said, don't give up. They can't stop you. Don't give up. Do not give up. When I was in Jamaica, my brothers that was here and another lady that was there with us at the club, she called me and said the band didn't turn up this Saturday night. They went to play at the Caribana. They left. And nobody was here. Everybody went to the Caribana. I said, what? And I'm in Jamaica? They said, yeah. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was in Spanish Town, which is close to Kingston on the other end of the island. I was staying in Montego Bay. So I got in my car and I started driving to Montego Bay. It's 120 miles I'm driving. And I'm praying and I'm asking God, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. All of a sudden, I got to this area, there were some cows walking across the road in Jamaica. And I had to stop. Okay? Walking across the highway, some cows, and I had to stop. And when I stopped to let the cows cross, I kept looking across. And when I looked and I saw this Jamaica Jamaica. It's a hotel in Jamaica called Jamaica Jamaica. And I said to myself, what says reggae music more than Jamaica Jamaica? The cows walked. I took my cell phone up, I called my brother, and I said, hey, y'all go down to the county office at Chimney Rock and DBA Jamaica Jamaica, the club for me. We flipping names. We're done with this pyramid stuff. We're going Jamaica Jamaica.
And this is 86.
This was like in 88.
88.
This was like in 88. We said, we're going Jamaica Jamaica. They said, you gonna change the name? I said, yeah, we're changing the name. They said, okay. I got on the plane, came back to America. While I was in Jamaica, the reggae festival was going on. And they were broadcasting live from the festival on the radio in Jamaica. So I was like, that's a cool concept. A live broadcast from a show to your house? I said, I wonder if that concept would work in Houston. When I came back, I went straight to the box, 97.9. Talked to Robert Scorpio. He was the program director at the time. And I said, hey man, I heard this thing in Jamaica, right? Where the broadcast came from one. He said, oh, that's called a live remote. He said, yeah. He said, we can do that. I said, so how are we going to do that? I want this to happen at Jamaica Jamaica. He said, well, let's go to AT&T. They will attach 2 phone lines at your club in the DJ booth, and they would bring those 2 phone lines to the club, to the board here. And once the attachment is done, whatever you play over there will come up on our board. And once it's on our board, it's all over the city. And I'm like, what's it going to cost me? They said, I got to talk to sales about that. I went to sales and I said, okay, what's it going to cost? They said, when are you going to do it? I said, I want to do it on a Sunday night. Right? I want to do it on a Sunday night because nobody does anything on a Sunday. Right? They said, okay. I said, there are 2 nights in Houston where nobody does anything, Sunday and Tuesday. I said, I want to do it on Sunday night. And if Sunday night is successful, I want to do it on a Tuesday night too. So they said, okay. They charged me $1,500 for Sunday and $1,000 for Tuesday to do that broadcast.
What a month?
$2,500 per week. Okay?
What was the turnaround like on that though?
The broadcast was, at that time on the radio, you had this guy, Reg in Effect. Reg died. Okay? Lady BG was the hot DJ in the evenings. And I said, I want Lady BG and I want Reg in Effect. Because he said, you cannot use your DJs. You have to use one of my DJs because we have to monitor what goes out on the air. My DJs know the concept. They know what to do. They know what can happen and what cannot happen. So I said, okay, fine. Reg came. At that time, I had my DJ, who was a guy out of New York, Kid Nice, right? He knew exactly how to do that stuff too. So I said, okay, fine. And there we went, right? We went on the air, and it was like instant. People were coming out of the woodworks when they heard reggae music and all this kind of stuff on the radio. And we were broadcasting live, and we were putting girls on the mic, and they were, yeah, we're in Jamaica.
I used to be a kid listening like, man, I can't wait to grow up to go to the club. Yeah.
Lady BG was on the mic, and she was effed up, and Reg was grabbing. And we were putting people on the mic, man. That stuff blew up like this. It just blew up. Then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to do it, you know. But we had the Sunday and the Tuesday locked in. Other people were doing different nights.
So prior to this in Houston, nobody was doing remotes?
No. Once we started, everybody heard it, everybody started.
Okay, so you brought Jamaica Jamaica to the city, you brought live remotes to the city.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 2 counts. All right, keep going.
So it just instantly, right? So it went on. Now we started getting the box DJs started coming into play.
Are celebrities coming in? When does it become that spot to where it's like, okay, people starting to come through and you starting to notice some of the people?
Tuesday was record day back in those days. That's when records were released on a Tuesday. So people would be coming into town to be interviewed on the radio station on a Tuesday. So the transition was made from the radio station to the club. They want to know where the club was on a Tuesday night. So it was Jamaica Jamaica. So everybody who is anybody.
Who's some of the earlier people you remember coming through?
We had Ice Cube. We had Wycliffe. We had Nas. We had Shine.
That's later on. I'm talking about early though. The early. What's some of the first people you remember coming? Like the big names.
Pete Rock, Seal Smooth.
Ooh.
Busta Rhymes. Okay, I mean, you name them, we had them, man, from back in the early days. But Busta came there maybe 3 or 4 times. You know, Pete Rock and Seal Smooth, they were there a lot, right? Everybody was coming through. We had Evander Holyfield come through there. We had Sinbad come through there. Snoop came through there. Everybody, right? At that time, rap music was starting to take off in Houston. So now all the rappers started coming to Jamaica Jamaica, right? You had Slim, ESG, you had Trinity Garden guys, Cartel guys, you had Rec Shop guys, you had Screw, Big Mo, Big T, you had 8ball MJG. Them guys were coming through regularly.
Can you tell, while we're here talking about 8ball MJG, can you talk about the story with 8ball MJG and then with all that?
Well, actually, I wasn't privy to the story. I didn't see it. I just heard about a confrontation where I guess these guys had made a song about 8ball and MJG, called their name or something in the song.
Yeah, Ghetto Mafia, yeah.
And there was this confrontation out there about a van. You know, because the box van was parked at the front door, and that's where a lot of the activity, they would first pull up to the box van because you could get interviewed there, and you would be on the radio, you see. And that's where most of the entertainers would hang out first before they come to the club. They'd go get on the mic at the van, and then they'd come in the club and party, you see. So that's where 8ball and MJG was, and that's where these other guys came, and that's where all that clash went down. And it was a situation. And Ball and MJG, they were cool cats. I've never seen them guys get mad. Never. They never got mad. But they were
that
hot.
Particular night, though.
Yeah, they were hot that night, man. They were pretty hot that night. And I was like, but we had a lot of security at Jamaica Jamaica. So some nights we were 12, 15 cops. We had so much security, we had to have supervisors. We had a lieutenant, then we had a sergeant. Because, you know, once you have over a certain amount, you have to have a supervisor. So we had supervisors because we had so much security, including bouncers on the inside. You see, because you're talking about 900,000 people on the inside and another 900 people on the outside who just came for the atmosphere. They didn't come to go to the club. Guys would come out there, hang out in their cars, just to talk to girls when they came out of the club. And that created a major problem for us.
Let me ask you this, because you're talking about starting a club in Houston in the 80s, going into the 90s. When the crack and all that in the street started turning up, did you see that affecting the club? Like, y'all start getting more money on that side?
Well, yes. There were people there that, we just call them the hustlers. And we had to make provisions for that. Because when they came with the big wads. And
are there any people you remember? Because all this stuff is all. I mean, the statute of limitations is up on all this. But do you remember some of these people? Who were some of the ballers coming through back then like that?
We had guys that There's one guy, I think he got killed, Smitty.
Smitty, yeah.
Yeah, them guys came through. There are a bunch of. I didn't know a lot of these names, in there, but there were names that we heard about that I try to keep away from, because. We tried not to. We were 18 to get in, 21 to drink. We tried not to bring a lot of heat to us, because TBC was always on us. To try to catch us selling underage. So I was on top of that game. That was my major focus. We just got to keep this legal. You see. So when these guys came in, the club was so huge. We had a section where Jamaicans would be. We had another section on the other side where the Colombians would be. We had a section where the American hustlers would be. And then we had the party people in the middle. You see, so that's where it was. And we had that sunken dance floor that had 200 people on the dance floor all night. You see, so we had so many people. We had Juvie, right? We broke all the hip hop.
You just said something.
You see,
these sections, and then you said we had this dance floor for 200 people. When you go to clubs now, like, the dance floor ain't really a thing no more. Like, everything's sectioned out.
Clubs don't have dance floor anymore now. It's all sections because it's all about.
Everybody want to look like somebody.
Yeah, and it's a profile thing now. Everybody just want a profile. Yeah, you see, so that's what it's all about now. But then you had to get a dance floor license, and you got to go clear that through Vice and all that kind of stuff before you could get that kind of stuff. People got away from that because I guess they just don't want to do that anymore. I think you could still get a dance floor, but you still have to go get a license to have a dance floor in your club, So I guess that was it. But
I've heard that there's a lot of international videos that have been shot at Jamaica.
Well, we did a lot of we did the first, or I don't know if we're really not the first. We did a video with I was approached by
didn't Lil O shoot this video outside?
Yeah, Destiny's Child father. Right, they came to us and said they wanted to shoot a video with Lil O. And I said, for how long? They said, oh, no, it's going to take 2 or 3 days. I'm like, so how much you going to pay me? They said, well, we don't got no money, but, I said, I'm going to burn light for 2 or 3 days and come out here and hang out with 3. So they came up with like $500. And I said, okay, that'll pay the light bill. So we shot that video. That video is on YouTube right now. Can't Stop. You'll see a 16-year-old Destiny's Child in there, and they were singing. And, we just put a little Jamaica scrolling across that stuff. It was on BET, and
that was a big deal at the time.
Yes, it was huge because in that video you had everybody. 8ball MJG was in the video, Willie D was in the video, Lil O was in the middle of the crowd, and everybody's rapping. They were playing pool, everything. It was a real nice little thing, but. I guess the girls, they weren't, I don't think they were signed at that time. Lil O was signed, and they were not signed. And I think they were signed after that situation. So then I don't know what happened to Lil O in that situation, but it was all Destiny's Child from then on. And they were young.
It was a situation. Lump told me a story about Wyclef coming to Jamaica, and he went and did the remix for Destiny's Child like that same night or something.
They were young, and they couldn't get in the club. But the dad would come out there, and he would come by the van, and then, they had this No song out there, and it was going on. And then Wyclef came in town on a record release day, and him and Lump, that they came to Jamaica Jamaica. And they were in the VIP room and sitting out there and having fun. Wycliffe got on stage, did a little thing, did a little contest with some guys, or a little rap off and all that kind of stuff. It was real good. It was packed. And, Destiny's Child Dad, they came and said, man, we'd like to meet Wycliffe. And the girls want to meet Wycliffe. And I said, man, they're young, man. You can go in and talk to them, but they're young. I can't let 16-year-olds in there. And he was like, man, come on, man. They want to meet. They want to meet. So I was like, okay, fine. We took them through a back door and snuck them into the club. They were young, and put them in the VIP room, and they met Wycliffe. And I guess they cut the deal right there, because right from there they left and went to the studio and Chimney Rock and Digital, and I guess that remix was done, and the rest is history for those people,
Do you understand what you're saying right now? Have you thought about, like, man, I have really been a part of some monumental things, man.
I mean, we did it, man. I know we contributed a lot to, for reggae, but we also made hip hop scene in Houston, in the city, because, R.I.P. Pokey, man. I love that guy, man. He was so calm, so cool. He'd come by, he hugged me up to the big old teddy bear. We put those guys on stage in front of 800-900 people a night, and just put them on stage. Slim would be on stage, ESG would be on stage, Trinity Garden would be on stage, Kiki would be on stage. Everybody. All the Rap-A-Lot guys. People used to come to Jamaica Jamaica and say, come to the front door. They didn't have no money, and they said, I'm down with Rap-A-Lot. and that was supposed to be that's the password. Like, I'm down with Rap-A-Lot. I said, what does that mean? I'm down with Rap-A-Lot. And I said, man, you down with Rap-A-Lot? What does that mean? You still got to pay to get in? Oh man, I heard that once you say I'm down with Rap-A-Lot, we'd be in free. I mean, no, man, you got, Scarface had his birthday party at Jamaica Jamaica like 5 years consecutively. That's after Mind Playing Tricks. Bushwick was always there.
Okay. I gotta ask you a Bushwick story, because everybody got a Bushwick story. What's something you remember about Bushwick in the club?
Well, Bushwick used to just. What Bushwick, he Jamaican too, so he used to just come and challenge me all the time, and we really didn't have much interaction out of that. Every time he walked in, man, he would challenge me, like, he would say things like, "You're not Jamaican, are you?" And I'm like, "You're not Jamaican." We just little banter like that. We'd go back and forth, but we really never had any kind of conflict. He was real cool, I loved the little guy, I thought he was a real good rapper, man. I heard him when he took that mic. People went crazy with him, So, we did a lot with those guys.
What's the wildest thing that happened in Jamaica? You're like, man, I'll never forget this happening there.
The wildest thing, man. There are a lot of crazy things happening in Jamaica, man. Some things you can't talk about. Funny things, man. I got to think about wildest thing, man. I'll give you one thing. It was Sunday night. Okay, the wildest thing was when we got raided. I got to tell you about that. But on a Sunday night, it was early, like 10:30. We had about 150 people in the club at 10:30, because we were free before 9. Ladies free. So all these ladies, all these young girls, 18 and up, they got in there before 9 o'clock. We'd have 150 girls in there before 9 o'clock, because they couldn't afford to get in, right? Which was cool. They formed the base of the club, and it was good, right? Now, I was there at about 11 o'clock. I looked at the bar. We had like we had 2 bars. One big elevated bar here, another bar down the back. In that big bar, we had 4 bartenders working, okay? And we had a bar back. Now, I looked in the bar, and I saw 3 bartenders on the bar back. So I said, where is whatever his name is, And they said, I don't know. He must have gone to the restroom. I said, okay, cool. I came back like 15 minutes later. He was back, and another bartender disappeared. And I was like, where is he? They said, I think he went to the restroom. I'm like, okay. I came back 15 minutes later. He was back. Another bartender disappeared. Now, we had 4 bartenders, 3 Hispanic guys, 1 Iranian guy. Okay? So it kept going on like that until I said, okay, man, this is funny. Every time I look, it's only 3 bartenders. Something is going on. So I called the DJ, Kid Nice. And I said, Kid, what's going on? Where are the bartenders? He said, man, you don't want to hear. I said, what's happening? He said, we're the basement area at the back of the club. He said, go down to the basement. I went down to the basement. There was this area where you had that mop sink, right? There was a Hispanic girl sitting down there on top of the mop sink. And I was like, what are you doing down here? I said, get out of here. Go back up in the club. So I went back up in the club and I said, all bartenders to my office right now. What is going on? Okay? So everybody started laughing. So I said to Kid, what was going on? He said, that girl was down there giving head. I said, are you crazy? What? I said, what are you doing? She said, the girl was down there giving everybody a blowjob. I said, is that true? One bartender said, yes, she gave me head. The other bartender said, yes, she gave me head. The other Hispanic bartender, yes, she gave me head. The Iranian bartender, he looked at everybody and he said, she gave you head? He said, yes. He gave you head? Yes, he gave you head. He said, motherfucker, you could have told me before I kissed the bitch. I said, it is unbelievable. Man, everybody, get out of my office. Now, his culture is, before that, he's going to kiss. Yeah. He kissed the girl after. He said, you could have told me. That's crazy. It was unbelievable. I couldn't do that. I bust out laughing. I kicked him out.
That's tough.
Like, you all got to go, man. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen at that club.
I did not think that's where you were going with the story.
Man, it was unbelievable, man. I got stories like that. Now, the most craziest thing was in 1997 when we went to renew our liquor license, and we renewed the liquor license, and we couldn't get the liquor license. I'm like, what's going on, right? We don't have no problems. We don't have no violations. We don't have nothing. Why is the liquor license being held up? So I called my attorney. He said, call TABC and find out what's going on. I called them. They said, your license is under protest. I'm like, protest? Who would want to protest the liquor license? Call back the attorney. I told him. He said, TABC won't tell us. Tell me who is protesting the liquor license. So he said, okay, let me check it out. Come to find out, there was a civic club around the Upper Kirby District area where we were, right? Very, very powerful civic club. So they went to TABC and they protested the liquor license on grounds of the club is against moral turpitude. It's a line straight out of the liquor code, right? That this, if this entity is, creating these kind of stuff, doing this, you can get the license revoked. So that's the grounds that somebody pulled and sent it to TABC. Now, we were like, man, come on, this is foolishness. What's going on? So TABC said, we can't do nothing because they protested it and we got to do an investigation. I said, okay, fine. So I started saying, who is this Upper Kirby district? So I did my little research. My attorney did some research, and we found out that they had a meeting room on Richmond, right up the street from the club. So I snuck into a meeting that they had. They didn't know who I was. I went to the back and I sat down. There were a lot of people, bunch of white people, but up front there, you had HPD, you had Mothers Against Drunk Driving, you had a fast unit from HDB, you had narcotics there, you had city council member was there, and the president of the association, and then people who were on the board. And I'm sitting down there listening to them bash Jamaica, man. I felt so sad because I'm saying, none of these people ever been to the club. They don't know nothing about this club. And they were talking about, they Jamaicans, so it's got to be drug selling. There's got to be drug dealing going on over there. There's no way on earth this club can be that popular without something going on in there. They're selling drugs. They're pressuring the cops to go to do something, right? They have to be selling drugs. They're doing this. They're doing that. There's got to be prostitution in there. There's got to be this. There's got to be that. So, guy from narcotics got up and said, well, actually, we ran several sting operations, announced and unannounced. And we ran it inside and outside. And we couldn't make a buy and we couldn't make a sale out there. So there's nothing we can do. One of the people got up. That's because they only sell to themselves. I was like, man, this is unbelievable. I'm sitting up in the back there. I was like, if these people ever knew who I was, man, I may be dead right now. So then Mothers Against Drunk Driving got up and said, okay, you all need to run a sting operation out there and catch them as soon as they leave that club and put them in jail. So police said, well, we've done that. We really haven't been able to catch anybody drunk, right? So Mothers Against Drunk Driving said, well, since you can't do that, we're not needed in this meeting. And they left, right? So the city council, now they're talking about, well, this was District D, District C. So city council lady was this lady, this is Oriental lady, Martha Wong. So her representative were there and said, well, the council lady is going to do something about them. So we, since you can't do that and this can't happen, we're going to have to do something ourselves about them because we're going to have to close them down. And that's the only way we're going to have to, you guys are going to be able to get rid of them out of your neighborhood because they are a nuisance in your neighborhood. And one white guy got up and said, yeah, my little white daughter is not safe going out at nights with all them black people roaming around the city. She's scared to go anywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So anyway, I left the meeting, went back into my attorney, everything that was going on. He said, well, there's nothing much you can do until they try something. So they just have the license on the protest. Now, at that time, we continue business as usual. We're spending money left, right, center, everywhere, with attorneys trying to, just monitor what was going on. Then there was this man that lived, when we got there in 86, right? It was a commercial district. By 97, we were slap dab in the middle of residential. A lot of these commercial buildings knocked down, lofts came up, and people were living on top overlooking the club and all that kind of stuff. So there was this guy, I think he was some kind of engineer, got some money and he had bought this loft, and he said that I cannot sleep at night because of all these black people running around. Well, actually, he didn't say black people, but that's what he meant, running around my neighborhood, and I'm scared, so I have to sit at my window with my shotgun at nights to watch what was going on. And I'm like, we don't even know you exist. People don't even. But so I took a note of that guy, and I found out where he lived, and I went and knocked on his door one day during the day. He opened the door, and I said, "My name is Paul. I'm the owner of Jamaica Jamaica. I'd like to meet you." Right? He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." He said, "All right, come on in." He invited me, and I sat down on the couch with him. I said, I was in that meeting the other day. I guess you guys didn't know that, but I heard you say something that you had to sit up with your shotgun because people were running around." He said, "Yes, that's what I do." I said, "What are you scared of?" He said, "All these cars parking around, and then some guys parked at my gate one night, and I guess they were smoking weed, and they were doing this, and I was scared, and I wouldn't let..." I said, "So how can we solve this?" He said, I want to get some sleep at night. That's how we solved it. Maybe you just need to close down." I said, "That's not going to happen. Not like that. You see." He said, "Well, something is going to have to be done because I'm going to write letters to the governor. I'm going to write to my congressman. I'm going to write to this. I'm going to write to that." At that time, George Bush was a governor. And he did write a letter to George Bush. You see. So I said, listen, this is what I can do for you. How about this? How about I put a police officer right here at your front door every single night that I'm open, and you can go to sleep? He said, "Would you do that?" I said, "Yes." So I went and I talked to the coordinator, the police coordinator that coordinated, and he said, "I have this female officer who she wants to work here. We'll put her in her private car and let her sit right there. When she come at night, she will wave to him and tell him he can go to sleep, and she'll leave at 2 o'clock. I did that.
That's good.
For over a year. I paid somebody to just sit at that. Never heard from him again. Okay? But the Upper Caribbean District continued. They continued. Well, 2 years we can't get her a liquor license. But they couldn't revoke it. But we could not get that piece of paper that the license was renewed. So all of a sudden, the city council lady decided that she was going to turn it up. So she called me. And when she called me, she said, "I want you to come to my office and have a meeting." So we went down there to talk to her. She told me that we need to move. And the city of Houston is trying to create this downtown area, and they want all the clubs downtown. I think you need to move downtown. And she gave me some areas of downtown where you could go and move the club to. And she would back off. I explored a couple of that. Every one of them was going to cost me over $1 million to get into. I said, "Hell no, I'm not moving." So I called her back and I said, "I can't afford none of these places." She said, "Well, the county, the city council is not going to get off you, so it's either you're going to lose that business or you're going to have to do something else." So I said, "Well, I guess we're going to have to go to war." So what she did was, all of a sudden, I see constables now that doesn't patrol that area. Constables started patrolling the area. So I'm like, why are these constables now? They were worse than the HPD guys who would patrol the area, because they were locking up people for smoking and throwing their cigarette out, throwing a lighted instrument out of your car. They were doing stuff like that, and the people were starting to get scared. Then they brought these, overlooking Jamaica Jamaica. There is a parking lot, high-rise parking lot at the back of the building, so you could drive around the back and go up on the. When you're in the high-rise parking lot, you could overlook Jamaica Jamaica's parking lot. She placed 3 constables up there with cameras. Every Tuesday and every Sunday night, you saw these little red lights, and these cameras were just zooming in on the parking lot, and they were just recording everything. They were trying to catch us doing something, right? So after that, she called a meeting with the Upper Caribbean District, HPD, everybody. Somebody from the neighborhood called me and told me about the meeting. They never invited us to the meeting. They called me and told me about the meeting. So I called my attorney. He said, "We're going to that meeting." So Me, 2 attorneys, we walked up to city council, we went in, we went to our office, and we told them, we're here for the meeting. They said, who are you? We said, we represent Jamaica Jamaica. They said, they went in, they told them, Jamaica Jamaica's representatives are here. They are not invited. Get them away from here. They did not let us in the meeting. But they had Houston Press magazine there, and the press was there and all that kind of stuff, right? So all this was being recorded by Houston Press. Now, come to find out, Houston Press called us and told us about what went down in the meeting, right? And everybody was bashing us and all that kind of stuff. And they said, look out, because she is trying to arrange something. I think they're going to try to come in there. So we kept everything clean.
What year is this now?
This is 99 now, right? We kept everything clean. We tried to make everything cool. Everything was fine. Then on the 19th of October, 1999, look it up, Tuesday night, I just pulled up at the club. And as soon as I pulled up at the club, right, I got out of my car. I went inside, and somebody said, Paul, somebody want to talk to you outside. And I went outside in the parking lot to talk to that person. And man, it was 50 police cars. Zoo, 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 zoo. They were just flying in the parking lot from every angle. Guys with masks on, everything, man. It was big time raid, right? Then Channel 13, the news pulled up right behind them. And I'm like, what the hell? We had about 400 people in the club. They searched everybody. They ID'd everybody. They searched the club. They did this. They did that. Right? They came up with 0. When I say 0, I mean 0. Right? I was standing outside. Everybody was, where's Paul? Where's Paul? Where's Paul? I guess they were looking for me. I was outside. I was on the phone with my attorney. He said, do not go in there. Right? I was outside. So when they started walking out, I was standing by the front door. They didn't know who I was. I heard a news guy say, what did you get? Oh, we got some drugs. We got some dope. We got some weed. That's what they kept saying to the TV guys. Right? And I'm like, oh shit, I can't believe people in the club with weed and drugs. I can't believe this. So I was there. Then I saw them walking out with 4 guys, 4 black guys, like a chain gang. They were all chained together, 4 guys. I'm like, damn, these guys must have been the guys who were selling weed and doing dope, right? So I'm like, oh no, man, this is crazy. Anyway, the night went off, right? 6 o'clock this morning, we were all over the news. Big raid at Jamaica Jamaica. Police say they got weed, they got dope, they locked up people, they showed the guys walking out and the little chain gang thing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? I don't know what, I mean, these guys are drugs, man. I said, liquor license gone now, we're in trouble. So I called my daughter's mother, and she was like, you ain't got no choice. You're going to have to call Quanel X. Right? You got no choice. You're going to have to call Quanel X. So you're going to have to call him. So I picked up the phone and I called Quanel X, and he said, what? Hell no. He said, give me 5 minutes. And he hung up. He called me back in 5 minutes. He said, do you know that they got absolutely nothing in that club last night? I said, but TV's talking about dope and drugs. They got nothing. I just got off a phone with the assistant chief. They got nothing. Okay? I said, what about the 4 guys? They PI'd the 4 guys. I said, how can you PI somebody on the inside of a building? But come to find out, the guys that they locked up, the guys started protesting. Oh, you're doing this because it's a black man club. You never... And they locked them up for that, and they hit them with public intoxication. So they let them out the next morning, and they came out. So Quanlick said, chill out. Let me talk to the chief. They talked to the chief. Quanlick said, get dressed. Be at the club at 11 o'clock. We're in a press conference at the front of Jamaica Jamaica at the doorsteps. I said, what? Press conference. I called my attorney. He said, the TV's saying they got dope? Hold on a minute. And he called the station. He said, you say that one more time, and we're coming at you because no dope, nothing was found. It disappeared from the news right there. It disappeared. We went to the press conference. Quanlick, he launched into them, man. He really defended us, man. He launched into that city councilwoman. He talked about her so bad. He talked about the police so bad. He talked about everybody so bad. And you tearing down the black man's business and this and that, man. And, you know, he talked about Upper Kirby District and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Press conference went off. We set up a meeting with the police. So we went to the police station. We had the meeting. Me and my attorneys, we had a meeting with the police, the chief, the assistant chief, vice chief, all those people were there. They got nothing. We come to find out they got nothing. The chief was kind of upset that they did this because he said he was on vacation and he didn't know about it. And nobody knew who called the raid, who set it up, who did this, nobody knew anything, right? So the only assurance they got was nobody would come back in Jamaica without us knowing. And that's what we got out of it. My attorney called up Kirby District and said, bam, lawsuit, we're going to sue you guys. We're going to sue you guys. 2 days later, an attorney from Upper Kirby District was knocking on the door of the club with a bunch of paperwork in his hand. So I said, come on in, we can talk. They came with some type of a cease and desist arrangement that if I drop the suit, they will remove Jamaica from their agenda. And they will release the liquor license and remove us from their agenda and not entertain any more protests and anything like that. So I called my attorney and he said, well, if we sue them, it could be 10, 15 years before you get anything out of them. What do you want? Do you want to stay in business and them leave you alone, or you want to fight them for another 10 years? I said, I wanted to stay in business, leave them alone. So I signed the paper. Never heard from them again. You see, after that, but the damage was done with that raid because it was all over TV, and then all of a sudden now the crowd dropped. You see, because people kept thinking that a lot of crazy stuff was going on, and you know, the club, it was still, but we had so many people that it was still a decent business, you know, for 99. Then 2000 came, and 2000 came on a Tuesday night. It flipped, and the feds came to Jamaica on the first night when 99 flipped over to 2000, right? The feds came to Jamaica, federal officers, and they identified themselves and said, we're here to protect you. Because, you know, everybody was saying that a lot of craziness was going to happen when the New Year came in. The feds came. Can you believe that? We went from maybe about 800 people to zero. Nobody turned up to the club that night when we flipped over from the 90s to 2000. That Tuesday night, there was 0 people. Nobody came. There were federal officers and there were police officers on top of the building with guns and all that kind of. They said that people were thinking that there was going to be mass outbreaks of violence and all that. Nothing really happened. And from then, it was never the same. You know, we went through 2000 and it kept you know, going up and down, going up and down, going up and down, going up and down. Then my mother got sick in Jamaica. And I brought her here, took her to the doctor, and they said she's at end stage renal, no kidneys. And they're saying she's got to do dialysis. She was 80 years of age. Christian lady, evangelist, she got her own church in Jamaica. And she didn't understand what that was, you know, old Jamaican lady. And I'm like, you got to do this, and they're going to do this. You got to go for dialysis And she said, what is dialysis? I explained the process to her, and she was like, take my blood out and put it back. She said, oh, no, God don't want us to do that. That's what she said. She said, God don't want us to do that. Your blood is supposed to stay inside of you. And I said, that's the process, Mom. I mean, she said, I don't want to do that. So she refused. And she said, send me back home. So I took her back to Jamaica, and it progressively started getting worse because now she started getting real toxic, you know, because all the impurities, the kidneys weren't working. And then she passed out in Jamaica. And when I got the call, you know, the club was shaky and all that kind of stuff. I got the call and I'm like, what am I going to do? And that's what, I just made a split decision and I closed the club down. And I moved back to Jamaica. My daughter was 7 years of age at that time. I moved back to Jamaica and she died. And I just like, I'm not coming back to America. So I was in Jamaica like 5 months. My daughter started calling me, Daddy, you're leaving me. You're not coming back. And I need you back here, Daddy. And I said, okay. And that's when I just packed up from Jamaica and I came back to America. And that's when I said, okay, I got to go back to work. That's when I started doing the social work thing for a while, and you know, and that was it. I mean, it's crazy. Jamaica in a nutshell, right there.
Man, listen, man, you created something that,
that's a legacy.
man, legendary, bro. Legendary. I was a kid wishing, like, I've had people come on here and talk about Jamaica, and it's like, man, I wish I wasn't like 11 at the time so I could experience it.
Hold on. The funny thing about that is that there's so many people I run into today that told me they were in there at 16. And I'm like, how do you get in at 16? But that was back in the day when you could just go down to the flea market and make an ID that looks exactly like that, like a regular ID, right? And there were a lot of them who were 16 who looked like their 19-year-old sisters, and they interchanged IDs, and they got in there. They looked big, you know, and they looked grown. And there were people telling me, I was in there at 16. I've been coming there since I was 16. I've been coming there since I was 17. How did you get in? And we were so strict on IDs, you see. But they beat the system. A lot of people, you know, people said they were there at 14, beating the system. I just didn't understand how that got in, how they did it. And we checked IDs for everybody, and miraculously, TBC never ever made a bust in there for underage. You see, and they were there, announced, unannounced, all that kind of stuff. They were always over us. Vice was in there, all over us, you know, from time to time, and it you know, but my specialty was security, because I came out of a law enforcement background where my father was law enforcement, so you know that was instilled in me. So I came out of that kind of background, so I stick with the law, and you know, up until today. So you know, I guess that's what kept us through, going through that period, because there were so many people, man, that were going away. So many guys that were going down, man. People were going down. People were getting deported. People were going to prison. People were doing this. People were doing that. I mean, I was at Sam's boat after we closed down one day, just hanging out on a Sunday afternoon. And this guy came up to me and said, hey, man, I want to talk to you. And I said, man, what's going on? He said, I want to talk to you. I said, I don't know you, man. He said, but I know you. I said, what do you want to talk to me about? He said, sit down, man. So I sat down. He said, you want a drink? I said, no, I don't want no drink because I don't know you. All right. So he said, I got to tell you something. I said, why? He said, man, I was at the Jamaica, man, because that's what they called it. Man. I said, I was at the Jamaica one night, man, and you saved me. I said, I saved you? He said, yeah, man, you saved me. I said, how did I do that? He said, man, my bride told me that she was going to be at home with my kid, man. And I came to the Jamaica, man, and she was up in there talking to some dude. So I said, okay. So what happened? He said, man, me and her got into it, man, and I slapped her around a little bit. And the laws had me cuffed down, man. Right? I said, well, that's what we do. You come in there and cause some kind of problems, and that's what I hire these guys to do. We got to maintain law and order in here. He said, yeah, man, I respect that, man. But they had me cuffed down. I said, so what did I do? He said, man, they called for a wagon, man, to take me downtown. And I was sitting down, man, I was sitting down at the front door waiting for that wagon. They had me cuffed down, sitting on the floor at the front door. And it was like almost 3 o'clock. And you walked out. And when you walked out, you locked the door and you asked the law, what's going on here? So he told you, I'm waiting for a wagon because he's the one that, you know, we'll put him in jail for PI. So I said, he said, and you said, I said, so what did I do? I said, you said to the law, man, well, okay, good luck, I'm going home. That's what he said. He said, you said, good luck, I'm going home. And you started to get into your car. I said, so what happened? He said, the lawman didn't want to stay out there by himself. So he said, this is your lucky night, I'm going to cut you loose. Yeah. So he took the cuffs off me and he let me go, man. So I said, how did I save you? He said, man, if you didn't tell that lawman you were going home, if you decided to stay and wait with him, and I had gone down, I was looking at 3 strikes, I was looking at 25 years. Damn. He said, I changed my life that night. He said, I changed my life that night. And I never went back to jail, man, because the judge had told me if I come back, I'm looking at 25. He said, because you decided to go home, he let me go. And you saved me, man. He said, I've been trying to find you, to see you. I wanted to see you to tell you thanks. I said, man, it was me, it was God. I said, I'll let you let him go, man. I said, man. He said, I want to thank you. He got up and he gave me a hug, man. He said, sure you don't want to drink? I said, no, man. I said, let me get out of here, man. I mean, I said, it was crazy, man. That's so many things happened out there. Juvenile, another situation. How I met him, I was leaving one night. And there was this guy just sitting outside the club. And I walked up to him. The cops were there, because normally we all leave together. The cops would follow me home, you know, and then they would go home. That was the arrangement. And this guy was sitting in the parking lot. And I'm, hey, man, you got to leave the parking lot, man. What are you doing out here at this time of night? He said, I'm waiting for my friends, man. I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, who are you? He said, they call me Juvie. I said, Juvie, I've never heard of you, man. He said, yeah, man, I got that song that you're playing in there, man. I said, which song? Back that ass up. I said, that's your song? He said, yeah, man. I said, so why you doing sitting out here, man? That song is hot. He said, yeah, man, that's my song, man. I said, nah, man. He said, so what are you waiting for? He said, my boys, man, they went somewhere with some girls, man. They're coming back. They're coming to get me. I said, man, but we can't leave you here in the parking lot. So he said, well, they're coming, man, they're coming. And in about 15 minutes, 2 cars pulled up in the parking lot. He jumped in the cars and he left. And I'm like, I don't believe this guy is no juvie, right? A couple of weeks after that, Mean Green was doing the broadcast, and he called me and he said, hey man, I want you to meet somebody. I said, who? He said, Juvenile. I said, Juvenile with that Back That Ass Up song? He said, yeah. I went out there. He come laughing. He was smiling, full of gold teeth. I said, he shook my hand. He said, you remember me, man? I was the one in the parking lot that you were trying to get out of the lot. I said, yeah. I said, how you doing, man? He said, that's me, man. That's Juvia. That's my song, man. I said, but it's not on the radio yet. He said, yeah, but we're remixing it, man. It's going to be on the radio soon as we remix. Because we already had blown that song out of the water. It was the hottest thing in the clubs.
First time I saw that song
it was the hottest thing. Back that ass up. But it was never on radio. It was not on the radio. So once it got on the radio, blew up, Juvenile was big.
That's it.
He kept coming around the club. Called me one day. I gave him my number. He called me one day. And, hey, boss man, I'm coming in. This was Sunday afternoon, about 3 o'clock. He said, put me on your broadcast. I said, man, I already got the broadcast lined up. I can't get it changed to put you on the broadcast. He said, man, well, call Mean Green, man. Tell him I'm coming through. Tell him put me down, put me down. I said, okay. I called Mean Green. I said, hey, man, Juvenile want to be here tonight. He said, okay, let me call the radio station and change. Let him say Juvenile live at Jamaica Jamaica tonight. So I said, okay, cool. Next thing we know, man, we changed broadcast. 9 o'clock, we had a line of about 500 people outside the club trying to get in because Juvenile was at Jamaica Jamaica
Right,
Sunday
right.
night. I'm like, what the hell? I got up there early that night, 10 o'clock, I'm there. A bus pulled up in the parking lot, little tour bus. Juvenile, 29 deep people came with him in the parking lot. Man, I met him. I said, what's up? Who are these people? He said, man, these are all my people, man. All my people. They all got to get in. I said, they got to pay. He said, come on, boss, man. Come on, boss, man. I'm Juvie. You can't charge my people. I said, well, okay, everybody getting searched. Right? He said, yeah, search them, man. I already told them you can't go in with nothing. So we searched him. We let him in the club. They went in. He sat down in the club. He came to me and he said, I want some drink, man. I want something to drink. I said, go to the bar and tell the bartender. He said, no, man, I got to come to you. I said, what do you want? I want some Moet, man. But at that time, White Star Moet was the thing. It was $60 a pop in the club. I said, hey, man, you want some Moet? I said, okay. I'm going to give you 2 bottles. He said, no, man, 2 bottles? Man, it's 29 of us. I said, what do you, I want 16 bottles. I said, 16 bottles? I said, are you crazy? 16 bottles? I called the bartender. I said, how much do we have? He said, we got about 20 bottles. I said, we can't give Juvenile 16 bottles. I said, okay, all right, fine. 16 bottles times $60, pay the man. He said, I ain't got no money, man. I said, what do you mean you ain't got no money? You want 16 bottles? He said, I ain't got no money, man. I'll take care of you, man. I'm good for it. I'm good for it. I said, where you coming from, man? He said, Texarkana. I said, you come from Texarkana? You didn't make money last night? He said, well, you know, man, we figured out half on the way here, man. And I said, so what? He said, I'm good for it. I said, okay. I gave him the 16 bottles. Right? We went through the night, got through the night. Everything was fine. They partied. He got up on stage, did his stuff. I was happy. The club was packed. We made money. He left. The next week, I got a call from him again. Boss, man, put me down. I'm coming back. I'm like, man, you better have some money this week because you owe me 16 bottles. He said, I'm cool. I got you. He came in the club, man. He paid for the bottles from last week. And he bought another 15 bottles, man. Man, I'm like, it was like, we became real good buddies, you know, me and him. He always come, he always called me and like, hey, man, I'm coming through. I'm going to put me down and all that kind of stuff. He came whenever he wanted to get on stage, he'd get on stage and all that kind of stuff. We had a little thing going right there, you know, and that was real good. I mean, you know, but he paid. He don't owe me nothing. He paid. You know.
So what? Before we close out, give the anybody want to check out the new Jamaica Jamaica, man. What's the
new Jamaica Jamaica, man? At 11322 Westheimer Road. It's at Hayes. It's in the same shopping center as the Fitness Connection, a huge Fitness Connection next door to us, right behind that Popeyes. And, you know, we're open Thursdays. Thursdays we do an open mic night, and that's going pretty good, right? I see some nice little talents out there coming up. And Friday night we have ladies' night, and Saturday night, you know, we do reggae and all that kind of stuff. That's when Flabba comes in there and shines. And, you know, Finale, those are the two DJs out there on a Friday night and Saturday night right now. And that's where we are right now. You know, it's up and down, but, you know, it's still the reggae resort of Houston, you know, and still the only reggae club in Houston. So for what it is, we're still trying to keep the music alive and keep the Jamaican culture going.
That's what it is. That's what, man. I appreciate you coming through, man. I'm gonna have to have you come back again, though, because I know there's so much more stuff, man.
There's actually my daughter is a writer, a storyteller, a journalist. She does the 4 o'clock news. She produces the 4 o'clock news on Channel 11, KHOU. Okay, she just got through her first documentary. That documentary that was done a couple of weeks ago for Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was one of the producers of that. And I'm trying to convince her right now to write the book, because there are so many stories out there that people are asking for, and so many things I can't say. But I'll put it.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the camera's off, because I'm gonna ask you about some of them stuff that you can't tell.
I'll put it in print. And so many names we have to save and change to protect the innocent. So I mean, I can't call names, man. Yeah. I mean, I can tell stories and, you know, change some names in the book. But we're going to do this book because I think there's a market out there. Houston wants to see the book. And
I'll tell you what, you got your first buy right here. I'm definitely buying a copy of it. So.
We're going to do this book and talk about it and enlighten Houston, because everybody want to know some behind the scenes things, and we have a lot of that, man. I mean, things that would make, you know, we've created so many doctors and lawyers and stuff out of that club, man. I mean, but before that, it looks like they were never going to make it, you know. So, but there's history. Jamaica's history is part of Houston music history. Yeah. You can't talk about Houston without talking about Jamaica. Right. You know, culturally, and, you know, you can't talk about hip hop in Houston and rap in Houston without talking about Jamaica, because, you know, it seems to me like when we went away in 2002, it looks like a lot of the rap went away with us. You know, I haven't seen, you know, a lot of people coming up, you know, because we were the outlet for the reggae and the rap music, you know, and everybody could come and showcase at Jamaica free of charge. We never charge anybody to get up on that stage. We never charge. We never turned down anybody. I think maybe the only person I turned down was P.
You turned down Master P?
Yeah. I regret it today.
What was the reason for that?
I kind of turned him down because he wanted me to pay him, and I said I couldn't afford him. So he was charging me to get on stage, you know, and I said, man, I already have 900 people. I can't afford to pay somebody to get on stage, you know what I mean? So, and I kind of regretted that because I'm like, I should have maybe just let him do it, you know. But he charged. I said no. Well, that's what they told me that he wanted, and I said no. So I don't know if he actually wanted it, but it's the people who came to me said he wanted this, and I said I couldn't do it. You know, so, and that was maybe the only person that we really turned down. you know, but everybody else came through, man. Everybody, man. I'm telling you, you know, everybody. Yeah.
That's what it is, man. Well, I appreciate you coming through, man. I'm about to come through Jamaica Jamaica on one of them Saturday nights, man, and check it out, man.
This weekend is a good weekend, man. He's playing.
This weekend is going to be a good one.
Good weekend. It's next week in Jamaica. They're having a big festival. The Reggae Sumfest is going on in Jamaica next week, and we're just having like a little pre-Sumfest party, you know, thing. And got a lot of people are going to Jamaica next week for the festival. So you know, it's the biggest reggae festival anywhere, you know. So you know, I heard some huge festivals are in Europe too, reggae festivals, but and you know, they call it not the number one reggae festival in the world. So
for sure. So, well, hey man, it's going down. It's Donnie's podcast. Paul. Flabba Dabba. Hey man, it's going down, man. We up out here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Oh, and don't drink that too much of that.
No, I'm gonna take it easy on this, man.
That Jamaican rum punch, man. I mean, it's a special item. You'll never find it in America.
That's a bit. Hey man, it's Donnie's podcast. We up out here.
Thanks.
Donnie Houston.
Subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man.